Good morning. What a beautiful day and what a blessing to be with you all at this remarkable medical mission conference. Appreciate Dr. Peter Chang, Dr. Mary Roth, and the entire team. Some tremendous effort in organizing this event, and I really enjoy so much. Then give the team a big hand. Today, I would like to address one of the most important questions facing our nation. I guess I'm going to press advance. Oh, yes, right here. The title of my presentation is Appreciating Freedom in America by Finding Common Ground. Look around us. Even though we're living in the greatest country on this planet, we're so unprecedentedly divided. We're increasingly fixated on differences rather than appreciating what we all have in common as fellow Americans. We're increasingly unable to work across political aisles, racial divides, and ethnic divisions. Society, the world out there, is not finding a solution. It's leaving the problems in our society unaddressed because people are so busy polarizing themselves for power, money, and control. Leaving questions, problems in our society such as gun violence, opioid crisis, environmental disaster, racial tension, poverty, education, healthcare, jobs, unaddressed because we're so divided, we can't work together. So today, I would like for all of us to take on this journey to think about what is that solution. As a Christian, with Christ in our heart, does that offer the antidote? Does that offer a solution to this growing crisis in our nation and in our world, the division? Our nation is polarized. Instead of a United States of America, we're becoming a divided States of America. The question is, can we overcome our polarization and find common ground? And what is that common ground? At the onset, I want to point it out. There are some people mistaken what I'm talking about here, common ground, as a compromise, as taking the average between you and atheists. No. In today's talk, my common ground specifically is about finding a place that you can identify with that person. Could be an atheist, could be someone with no faith or different faith, that you do share with that person with the ultimate goal of bringing that person to Jesus Christ. So common ground, what I'm talking about here, is actually the pursuit of truth in Jesus Christ. Over the years, that people have been asking me, say, Ming, why are you so passionate? I've been working with our Sci Foundation and also the Common Ground Seeking for many, many years. My answer of my passion to help us, all of us, overcome the division and polarization to find the common ground is very simple. I've been there. I've done that. I've lived through a society, one of the most significant, severe polarization and division. 1966 to 1976, Cultural Revolution started in China. Over 10 years, government shut down all universities and colleges of the entire China and forcefully deported to some of the poorest part of the country and condemn each one of us a life sentence of hard labor and poverty. Because to a dictator, people with knowledge and education is a threat. 1974, I was 14. I grew up in the city, east part of China. And I finished my junior high, and I was not allowed to go to senior high. I was going to be sent away to labor camp just like 20 million others for life. As you see in the film Sight by Andrew Studios, that my dad came home one day, he said, maybe you can play this Chinese violin, a 2-string instrument, because if you can play that instrument, you might be able to get into government song and dance propaganda troupe, therefore avoid being sent away to labor camp. So I started playing this instrument and also learning how to dance, not for love of music, but with the sheer need to survive. That actually did not work, and I was going to be sent away to labor camp, just like 20 million others, for life. Right around that time, I got lucky. Cultural Revolution ended in 1976. After 10 years, all the universities being shut down, they got reopened. In the film side, you see that my dad came home with a newspaper. He said, you may be able to go back to school. I thought I would never be able to hear that in my lifetime. I thought junior high there was as far as I was allowed. But I have to jump 3 years ahead, pretty much skipping the senior high, because my parents were afraid that government could change their mind again next year and shut down universities across China for another 10 years. So you see, for people like us today here in America, when we always have had freedom, human nature is that we do take for granted. And what is the symptom of taking for grantedness of what we have? Is the division of polarization. Because if you don't appreciate something, you don't care. But for people who never had freedom, when freedom came even briefly, they appreciate it. They want to take full advantage of it because they're not sure if it will ever come back again, the opportunity. So fortunately, I listened to my parents, and I worked really hard. After I got into university in 1982, I came to America with only $50. In the film side, you saw that I came with 2 other guys. I had come here virtually nothing with an English-Chinese dictionary, knowing no one in this country, could hardly speak English. But even though I was poor, I was happy. Why? I had freedom. Then I wanted to go to medical school. And I actually met a professor at the famous medical school, admission director, and I gave him the resume. He didn't look at my resume, he looked at me. He said, where are you from? I said, China. He said, look, you know how hard it is to get into medical school, even for American-born students. You're from China, I don't think you're any good, so do not waste your time. He did not look at my resume. He made a judgment simply on the color of my skin. So what is that? Racial discrimination. Fortunately, I did not give up. I thought that after Cultural Revolution, I could fight once, I can fight again. This time, not just for myself, but also for everyone who had been discriminated against. So I worked even harder. I got into Harvard Medical School and MIT Joint MD program. And 1991, I finished. I invited my parents over to thank them to have brought me up and helped me in a difficult time during Cultural Revolution. So as human beings, sometimes we forget who has brought us and who have educated us, fed us, and I don't want to be one who has forgotten that. I even got to go to the White House, met then President Ronald Reagan. As you saw in that video, I became a Christian, not because I was born as one. I found Christ actually through science. I found that some of the fundamental questions in biology and medicine, such as the complexity of the eye and how could it form out the randomness in 9 months, with trillions of these cells. If one cell get out of line, the person would be born blind. But most of us, we could see when we're born. So its inability to answer those questions based on atheist worldview, the random collision evolution, is what led me to Christ. In the film side, you saw that I brought, our foundation brought a 5-year-old blind orphan child, Kajal, who was intentionally blinded by her own stepmother, who poured sulfuric acid into Kajal's eyes one night when Kajal was sleeping, in an attempt to make Kajal a blind orphan child who then sing on the street, who can get more money by begging. This is Kajal's eyes, all blind, completely scarred and vascularized. There is no treatment. There was no treatment. I decided to do my best to try to help Kajal. People say, why you spend all these years, medical mission work in terms of funding foundation and helping blind orphan children? My answer is very simple. I used to live in darkness myself. During Cultural Revolution, I had no hope for my future. So when I see a kid in darkness today, I can relate to them. I want to help bring them out of darkness. So I started work to help Kajal in the film site. You saw that. Through much research, we understand that a fetus can heal without scar. It's interesting that before birth, we can regenerate. We can heal without scar. After birth, we take on a different process called fibrosis or scarring. But the problem is, can we do research on the fetal tissue without hurting a baby? Do science and faith have common ground? This is a example, powerful example, illustrating a bigger problem in our society, which is the division and the polarization. Fortunately, as a Christian then already, I did not give up. I continued my work. I believe that God will show me a way to do research on the fetus, to figure out how a baby can heal without scar, to benefit Kajal, but at the same time, without hurting a baby's life. Through much praying and working with other scientists, an idea has occurred, and I believe it's inspiration from God, that how about using the placenta? Because each of us is surrounded by the amniotic sac before birth. Maybe it is the sac secreting some kind of biochemical factors enable an unborn child to heal without scar. So I got lots of placenta donated to me by mothers after giving birth to children. I went to hospitals and I said, can I have that placenta afterwards? They said, young man, you can have it. So I brought this bloody placenta in the laboratory, washed them, and started doing research, and eventually developed the amniotic contact lens. When we put this amniotic contact lens onto injured patients' eyes, miracle happened. The eyes start healing as if they were not born yet. Regeneration, a capacity that we all used to have before birth. Then I asked myself this interesting question. Did I really invent the amniotic contact lens? My conclusion is, interestingly, no. Because I did not invent the placenta, I did not invent the amniotic membrane. As a scientist and as a Christian, I was privileged to be given by God an opportunity to catch a little glimpse of part of His creation. The credit should go to where credit belongs. So what I decided to do, which many friends think is crazy, I just donated my patent. And then ran around the world, about 50-some countries, taught over 10,000 eye doctors how to use this technology. I put the patent online right away. Today, amniotic membrane contact lens has helped millions of patients around the world. It's a $5 billion a year industry right now. Some friends say, well, you didn't make any money, Ming. You're not smart. My answer is no. I think I did the right thing a scientist and a Christian should do. As we get older, we know that eyes get drier. Dryness is a part of aging process. The amniotic membrane contact lens is now emerging to be one of the most powerful new treatments worldwide scale for aging eyes. So science and faith do have common ground, a powerful example to show that God wants us to advance science and at the same time protecting life. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. We have an institute. If you come to Music City, USA, visit us. And because of my PhD in laser physics and also an MD, so I got some opportunity to be involved in research on developing latest technologies. This is my paper in the journal Nature. And I used to work on US FDA ophthalmic device panel, the first Asian Americans to do so. And we're training surgeons worldwide. I published many textbooks in ophthalmology. And these are the problems we're facing in science today, in 21st century, 2026. Myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism, presbyopia, reading difficulty, and also cataract. All of them are treated with the top-line technologies now. SMILE has replaced LASIK, making LASIK obsolete. And older people over 45, we used to call short arm syndrome. No longer we need to call that. We can actually fix that problem. And cataract surgery. Our patients have come from around the world, our foundation, and this is the eyeball. I use my dancing I learned during Cultural Revolution for a better purpose today. I learned dancing during Cultural Revolution to escape labor camp. Now it's my medical charity. I love dancing, so it's called the eyeball. Even the Chinese violin I learned during Cultural Revolution to escape labor camp at the time, it became something useful as well. I use that Chinese violin now to connect East and West, to showcase to the world that some of the best of Asian culture has to offer. I teach at local university, Christian university, about faith and science. And this, for example, is my favorite topic, teaching young people how to do things more efficiently by learning from your teachers and your parents. So, a purpose-driven life. Today, when so many people, young people, leaving churches, I lecture very frequently at university campuses with God's Not Dead, with Dr. Wright's books, and I always tell students, yes, you have to study science. You can't be lazy. You got to get a good grade. But science is only tools. It's faith in Christ that gives you a purpose. What are you going to use the tools for? You may be an engineer, you may be a computer scientist. God doesn't give you different God-inspired purpose. For me, as an eye doctor, the purpose He has given me is to help blind orphan children. This is my autobiography, which has been made into NG Studio Film site, and this little 2-minute trailer.
I'm going to help you see again.
You said it was impossible.
Ah, there he is, the good doctor.
You're going to be on the cover of the Tennessee Herald tomorrow morning. You may get a date out of this.
Not with that picture.
Very funny.
Our pro bono office got a call from India. A little girl, 6 years old.
Apparently, street beggars make more money if they're legitimately blind. So the stepmother poured sulfuric acid in each of her eyes.
I'm going to help you see again, Kajal.
Is it true that multiple doctors declared your patient irreversibly blind?
Yes, I developed this new breakthrough technology. Here we go. Do you see the light?
No. I can't see anything.
I have this patient from India. She reminds me of some things in the past that I can't get over.
The present is made possible by the past.
A long time ago back in China, there was an uprising in my hometown. Many bad things happened.
So we came to America.
Yes.
It's hard getting into medical school, but you coming from China, don't waste your time.
You cannot change the past, Ming.
I feel like I'm stuck.
Hello, doctor. This is Maria.
We want to give her a chance to see again.
I don't even know if I can perform surgery anymore. I left you.
Stop it. You need to just let go.
I just don't want Maria to end up like Kajal.
We can only do our best. I'm with you, Ming. We can do this.
I refuse to believe there is no purpose.
I will be praying for you.
Kajal is teaching me that there's more to life than what you see. We have to keep going.
Thought you said it was impossible.
Can you see yourself, Maria?
I'm so pretty.
the movie Sight has won the Best Picture Award at the ICVM International Christian Film Award. Appreciate your support to the foundation by sharing with folks this free movie link. More people watch this movie through this free link. More people will be aware of our foundation's work in helping blind orphan children, so more of these kids could be helped. Today at 10 o'clock and also this afternoon at 2:30, I give 2 workshops. The first workshop is an extension of what we talk about, more specific examples dealing with cardiovascular disease, stroke, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, to show that science, faith, and medicine, we can bridge them for better health. And 2:30, I'm going to talk about a very difficult issue that's facing us as Christians all the time, is that what do we do when we pray to God? It seems that God did not answer our prayer. And title of, I'm going to go through James 1:4, the Bible, and I'm going to talk about how we can seek God for wisdom, how we can persevere, and at the end, how can we trust He will answer, but only in His way, at His time. We're living in a divided state America. Can common ground be truly found? You know, when I arrived this country in 1982 as a 21-year-old with $50, I was told America is represented by the spirit behind this saying. I may not agree with what you do, what you say, but I will defend to my death your right to say it. Ladies and gentlemen, our country is no longer that country. We are becoming a country which is increasingly paralyzed to address our problems because we cannot work across political aisles, racial divides, and ethnic divisions. To really address the problem that we really need to address urgently in our country, gun violence, opioid crisis, environmental disaster, racial tension, poverty, education, jobs, healthcare. We're sitting here today in 2026 as Americans that are we ever able to restore the unity? Are we ever able to restore the essence of this country, which is the ability to work together despite the differences, the ability to love each other despite the differences? Now, I want to tell you that it's interesting that I want to share some experience with you about how to find the common ground from the teaching of Jesus Christ. Because common ground depends on who are you finding common ground with. They say a friend in need is friend indeed. So let's look at the cross-section of America today. In order to find a common ground with our fellow Americans, different faith, religion, or no faith religion, we need to understand who we are today. 20% America are Latin Americans, 18% African Americans, and 7% Asians. These 3 so-called minorities are already 45% US population. In 3 to 5 years, these 3 so-called minorities will become the majority for the first time in US history. Not only where we are, but also where we're going. Medium age, white 58, Asians 29, African Americans 27, and Latinos. Now, legals only. Illegals we don't even know, they're not documented. Legals only, Latin Americans. Are you ready? 11, average age. So not only where we are, but where we're going. So we need to recognize, if we're going to find common ground with our fellow Americans, we need to understand what is their concern. As Christians, we often make the mistake that, you know, we go to someone and say, hey, you're not a believer, you're not saved. Think about it. You put that person down, is that person ever going to listen to you? So what my experience has been, it's more important to find out what he or she needs. Start from where he or she is. As Christians, we have to develop the skill set. Learn how to find the common ground. With the ultimate purpose, bring that person to Christ, but through a process of common ground seeking. Studies have shown that number 1 issue consistently for Latino Americans today is the immigration issue. The number 1 issue for African Americans, consistently affirmative action issue. And number 1 issue of Asian Americans is respect for hard work. White Americans' number one issue is restore America to what it used to be. So we have to understand what people need. We have established a nonprofit organization to study how to find the common ground. It's not just you want to find the common ground, you want to unite the nation, but also how. The rest of the country is not finding solutions. America is becoming more and more polarized, but can we have a solution as Christians? Through much studies, through the pandemic, my pastor and I studied the Bible nearly every Saturday for 3 years in a row. We established the Common Ground Seeking Steps, STPS. This is the methodology. It's a 5-week Sunday school study. S, see the common ground. When you see someone who has different faith, religion, or different nationality, ethnicities, if you don't believe there's a common ground, you will never find it. You got to be willing to see there is a common ground. No matter how different that person's from you. T, trading places. What I learned as an eye doctor over the decades is that the best way to take care of your eyes is to see the world from your perspective. No matter what your eye problem is, you are the number one expert on your eye problem because you're the only one on this planet who are seeing through that pair of eyes of yours. You're the best person to tell me what you see, what you don't see. Trade places. Empathy, E. When we meet someone with different opinions, as Americans today, what do we tend to do? Some of the Christians are some of the worst polarizers today. We yell and shout and demonizing sometimes the other side. But instead of doing that, what does Christ want us to do? Dr. Weisberg and I developed this SALT principle, S-A-L-T. S, start a conversation. L, listen. A, ask a question. Then and only then, talk. P, persevere. If the right thing to do, you got to persevere. It's not going to be easy and pay the price. And finally, S is seek a common ground, actually putting into action. Do you know who inspired us to formulate this common ground seeking steps? It's none other than Jesus Christ himself. Think about it. Christ's life, few decades on this planet, is the perfect demonstration of the power of common ground seeking. STPS. S, he saw the common ground with us as human beings. T, trading places. He became one of us to feel what we feel and suffer what we suffer. That's the ultimate trading places, becoming one of us. E, empathy. He demonstrated empathy even to the people in the lowest rung of society. Women by the well in the Bible. Nobody wanted to talk to her. Christ did. P, pay the price. He paid the ultimate price by dying for our sin at the cross. Final S, Matthew 18, disciple the nations. He actually put into action, saw the common ground as human being. So ladies and gentlemen, to be a Christian in today's unprecedented divided world, a nation that's spiraling down the deadly spiral of polarization, division, and self-destruction, leaving the problem in our country unaddressed, we as Christians can behave differently. Thank you. We as Christians can think differently. We can, as Christians, can travel the road less traveled. People say, why are these Christians so loving, so want to work together, who love each other? They can work together. Doesn't matter, the Republican, Democrats, any nationality. They work because why? They will ask us a question and our answer, Jesus Christ in our heart. What a historical opportunity to demonstrate powers of Christ at a time of division and polarization. And what an opportunity to be a true Christian, to answer God's calling to be a common ground seeker. To be a Christian is to be a common ground seeker. So seeking common ground, develop the skill set to develop common ground seeking with someone who's different religion or no religion, is God's mandate to all of us as Christians. And Bible also taught us how to find the common ground. This is a common ground Bible study that going through the scriptures, stories to substantiate this common ground seeking steps. It's a 5-week Sunday school study. Every week, one letter, STPS. Finally, I want to share with you a few examples of common ground that I've been able to find. I I'm still working on it, but it's very hopeful. You know, you sit here, you say, Dr. Wang, it's all good. I'm inspired. I want to go out there to be the person who demonstrates God's love by working together with other people, demonstrating we can work together once again as a nation to solve the problem we need. But is it possible? Can you share some examples? I want to share some example. I'm still in my journey trying to follow Jesus Christ, read the Bibles, and really figure out how did he do it. Oh, by the way, that you may have seen the Christian film, God's Not Dead, some years ago. The student journey in that film, from atheist to believer, that was my story in the film God's Not Dead. It's just the actor who played my part, played me, is not as good looking. Just kidding, just kidding. So I want to show you some examples. 12 years ago, I established a Tennessee immigrant minority business group, uniting African American, Latin Americans, Asian Americans, businessmen and women. And the common ground there is to help each other in business. Through that, I built my Christian ministry. This is an example of what we do. This particular one is going to be a forum talking about immigrant entrepreneurs. And when you come, that's the audience are what America is all about. Latin Americans, African Americans, Asian Americans, white Americans. So through the common ground seeking, in this case, business, I'm able to connect with people across faith and religions. I'm able to have an opportunity to influence that person by starting not the point that I want, but at the point where he or she is. Another example of common ground funding I found it successful is I'm passionate about what America is about. To me, America is about the Bible and the Constitution, two bedrock of our great nation. So I'm passionate about the Constitution, so I'm part of this organization called 917 Society to put the Constitution back in the hands of every 8th graders in America. So our common ground there, across race, ethnicity, even religion, is to respect and help young people understand our Constitution. I'm part of the Bethel Church in Nashville, Tennessee, and we have 72 countries represented. I have even one friend that Pastor Dave, I invited, who's local here, part of our Every Nation ministry. We have 80 churches in 83 countries, over 800 some churches. And our common ground there is, doesn't matter what country you're from, what language you speak, we all love Christ. I'm part of a Living Sand ministry. Since inception, I've been one of the leaders, and the Living Sand ministry is about applying scripture Monday through Friday. It's one thing, it's much easier to speak about Christ, but it's more challenging to speak about Christ at the workplace when you're working with atheists, Islamic people, and different faiths, Buddhists. For example, many years ago, as a Christian, I decided I'm going to pray with my patient. Because I'm a Christian, God is my guidepost. But then I was advised by many friends that, don't pray because non-Christian patient will never come back. They will be offended. So I said, oh, maybe that's true. I was afraid of praying. But then I consult my church elders, the leaders in our church and the Living Sand ministry. They say, it's the right thing to do. There's a price to pay. And think about the price that God has paid for us, for our sin at the cross. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go on the limb, I'm going to pray. I've done about 55,000 laser vision corrections, including on over 4,000 doctors. Every single patient I've done in my career, I pray with them before surgery. Now, as a scientist, I always want to do a study. So over 1 year period, I gathered about 200 some patients. I did a study. All of them were not Christians. I tried to find out before their religious affiliation before surgery to the extent that I can. And these 200 some patients were not Christians, I knew. And I prayed with them also. But then my study was asked them the day after, were they offended? So the typical interaction, that study goes like this. I say, Johnny, I'm glad you're happy with your vision today now, but were you offended yesterday when I prayed with you? Their answer shocked me. All of them said this way. Dr. Wang, yesterday, I was lying underneath the laser. I was kind of nervous. My eye surgery is coming. And you, as my eye doctor, come to my ear, say, Johnny, can we pray for you? Honestly, I didn't dare to say no to my surgeon. And I said, well, yeah, it's kind of true that I kind of took advantage of the situation, but I took advantage for God. But my question to you still, were you offended that I prayed? He said, well, I'm not a Christian. I said, no, that's why I'm asking you this question. And he said, well, not only I was not offended, I was moved. I said, how could you be moved when I pray to someone that you didn't care, you don't believe? Their answer is the essence of what I'm talking about today. All of them said this way. Dr. Wang, the reason I was moved yesterday before surgery, I was nervous there, and you came to my ear and said, can I pray? And I was really moved because in one of my most important moments in my life as a human being, which is my eyesight, I don't want anything to go wrong. You brought something that is most important to you. You're Jesus Christ. And I prayed. I appreciate that. At that moment, I realized that it is love for fellow human being that transcends the boundary between ethnicity and race. And it's a love for fellow human being that manifests by Jesus Christ is our ultimate common ground. I'm part of American Bible Project. That's another example of finding common ground because we realize that this is a Christian nation, and sometimes we are forgetting it. So I started involving in project. One of the early leaders, and now still the president of the Founders Club there, bring the Bible back to school. And he said, how could it be possible, Dr. Wang? That's not legal. Well, guess what? We have succeeded over 1,000 schools now. How do we do it? Bible said, be smart, be shrewd, like a dove. I found an opportunity that every school teaches American Revolution. And I found the first America printed Bible. So in the teaching of American Revolution, you need historical relics. Guess what? It's a Bible. So we were successful in getting approval and successfully bring Bible back to over 1,000. So our common ground there is the Bible. And I work with Diane Canada for encouraging conservative women, suburban women, how to arm them with common ground seeking techniques and skills. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, we're living in an important time as a Christian, as American. We're living in a time when there's a worldwide coalition of this autocratic governments, North Korea, Russia, China, Iran, many others. Being able to overcome our polarization and self-destruction, find a common ground, and being able to work together again as Americans is actually nothing short of an existential crisis. Because if we self-destruct, we have no chance to preserve what we hold the most dear, our freedom and faith. So our country is at the crossroad. I see many young people in the audience. The future is in your hand. America is at a crossroad. We can continue the deadly spiral of polarization, division, self-destruction. Continue this human nature for power, money, and control. That's what divides us. Or we can take a different route. Rise above, heed a higher calling. Because human nature is not going to do it. Because for power, money, control is what divides us. But heed a higher calling, Jesus Christ. To rise above human nature. To recognize, to be a Christian is to ultimately be able to love another person despite the difference. It's the ability to find that common ground with the ultimate aim to bring that person to Christ. We as Christians, we can think differently, we can act differently. We can travel the road much less traveled. A historical opportunity. So finally, you may say, okay, Dr. Wang, we are so divided indeed. We cannot work across political aisles, racial divides, and ethnic divisions. You notice that weather is getting worse and worse, environmental disasters. You look at the gun violence in school, it's horrible. You look at the unresolved issue of poverty and education. In healthcare, that's what we are all here about, medical missions. In our own country, we still have huge healthcare issues. The lack of access to care, the quality of care in much parts of the rural part of America. So you may say, political parties are so divided. If we use the common ground seeking steps as TPS, inspired by Jesus Christ, if we truly behave like a Christian by emulating Jesus Christ, become a much better common ground seeker. If we're going to play a central role to help America go the other way, restore the unity and bring our country together, what is that ultimate common ground? What is it? Above the interests of any political party, above the interests of any ethnicity, groups and nationalities, cultures, the ultimate common ground is God and country. So ladies and gentlemen, let's answer the call from Jesus Christ. Let's recognize that we as Christians has a historical opportunity. Oh, by the way, that my book, it's in the book stand outside, and you're welcome to grab one. And also 10 o'clock and 2:30, I have 2 workshops. I'm going to talk about science and medicine, faith and medicine, common ground, beyond ophthalmology, but also I'm going to talk about what if God does not answer our prayer. Many churches using it as a 5-week Sunday school study to truly learn from Christ how to find the common ground seeking steps. I think we need to have the passion, and we also need to have the skill how to find that common ground when we meet someone with different faith or no faith. It's that essential skill that we all need to strengthen as Christians. Can we truly accomplish our ultimate goal, which is to bring that person to Jesus Christ? So ladies and gentlemen, let's go out of this room, out of this conference, to recognize human nature is dead end. For power, money, and control, that's what's divided us. What makes us different as Christians is we have Jesus Christ in our heart. We can emulate Jesus Christ. We can answer Jesus' calling. We can learn from him, behave like Jesus Christ. And behaving like Jesus Christ means we can truly love another person despite the difference. We can truly work together with the difference. We can truly recognize the future America, the definition of this country, which is, I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to my death your right to say it, lies in our ability to put above everything else, political or others, the most important for America today. That is God and country. God bless you all. Thank you.